Welcome to another fantastic, I'm going to just go ahead and say it's fantastic because I've seen the footage already. Fantastic live stream performance event sponsored by the Berkeley Art Museum Pacific Film Archive. My name's Sean Carson. I work here at BAMPFA, and I'm really happy to be introducing the first of what will be a series of four different performances that are all related to an exhibition that we have up in our galleries right now called The Enduring Mark. And that exhibition has drawings that cover 6 centuries of European art. And it's a truly fabulous show. So the first thing I'm going to say to anyone watching is please come in and see this exhibition while it's still up in our galleries. These works are all from a private collection called the Gray Collection, and we're very happy that as part of this exhibition, Katrina Gray generously sponsored these series of four performances related to the exhibition. Now, this is the first of the four, and we're hoping the only one that will be a live stream event instead of something that we do live in person. So the next one, we have one each month, so there'll be one in September, one in October, one in November, and we expect that and plan for those next three to be live in the gallery in the Berkeley Art Museum Pacific Film Archive building. So that'll be our return to live performances again. It'll be our first live performances in the museum that we've had in a year and a half. So we welcome you all to come and check that out starting in September. Meanwhile, tonight we do have performances by an amazing local group called Contra Costa Trio. And that's the three instrumentalists, William Skeen, Katherine Kyme, and Cynthia Keiko Black, all three of whom came together to perform, and they did their performance in the galleries of this exhibition, The Enduring Mark. And we videotaped them performing there. You'll see they're masked and doing everything properly in our galleries, performing 6 centuries of music, basically, or 5 at least, to celebrate this exhibition with 6 centuries of drawings from Europe. So I guess what I'd like to do right now is ask the performers if we can have Bill and Katie and Cynthia all join us on the screen. And I'll say welcome to you. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's so great to have you here. And, I was there, of course, as you recorded, and have watched the videos of the performances, and what a treat! It truly is just an amazing collection of great art music from Europe that spans all these centuries. So it's a unique kind of experience. It's not the kind of concert someone would normally put together, I wouldn't think. So it was this kind of a special occasion to do something like this, I guess. Maybe I'll start with you, Bill. Do you want to talk a little bit about the genesis of the project and how things came together?
Sure. Thanks, Sean. So this, as Sean mentioned, this came about as a project to go along with the Gray Collection exhibition. And Miss Gray happens to be our student, my cello student, and her conducting student in her orchestra. And so she was very kind to offer this opportunity for us to curate these 4 full moon shows. Today's is with this trio, the Contra Costa Trio. Funny enough, I happen to be in all 4 of these projects as a supervisor and performer. But seriously, I'm just here because I love playing and just want to play as much music with these folks as possible. The first show actually skips one of the 6 centuries. You'll notice there are 5 pieces on the program today. And the one century that we didn't really deal with today is the late 16th, early 17th century. There's a lot of great music for that, but I promise you, with the other 3 shows coming up, the live shows, hopefully, you'll definitely get to hear a lot of that music. So today we've skipped that exact period for that reason. Although Katie and I have been the curators for these 4 shows, once we had Cynthia on board, she actually loves dealing with art. So she graciously agreed to actually program this around these 5 works of art that you'll see today and hear the music to go along with it. So I think that's a good enough start, and maybe I'll pass the microphone over to Cynthia, who will introduce our first piece.
Hi, I'm Cynthia. I'm playing viola in the trio tonight, and I did program this, sort of picked all the music out and was looking at all the art, and sort of it's vaguely paired with sort of the time period and geographical region, but also just the feeling some of the art had with the feeling of the music. Some of the connections I thought were there, so I hope you'll kind of hear them as well. This, as Bill said, this string trio, we've got, I think we're covering the gamut of about 500 years. We're starting in about late 15th century with Dufay going all the way as late as the early 20th century. So as we know it, I mean, you'll see here, we're playing violin, viola, and cello today. This group, as you see it, really as an ensemble really came into its own during like the late 18th century. So the stuff that we do before is kind of an approximation or like a sort of an adaptation of some of this music. So this first piece that we play, this Dufay, has text with it, and we don't have a singer, but I'll just read some of the text. It's a love song. I'm getting a message here that my microphone is not up. Do I need to turn it?
You're perfectly fine.
I'm fine. Okay, sorry. It's a romantic text. It's I won't read the whole text, but it's in Italian, and it's "Noble lady, beautiful as gold, which above all others bears the crown. Tired I am of such suffering, so that I cannot live except in her. I find myself with her, with you, bright moon, always serving her with whom I love." And the text, "Noble lady, beautiful as gold," is the text that sort of keeps coming back as the refrain. And if we were playing on instruments that they would have had in the 15th century, probably we would be playing on instruments that are in a way buzzier and louder, and there would be somebody singing this text. And I should just also tell you that this song comes from the codiform chansonnier, or chansonnier codiform. It's this heart-shaped manuscript that a very wealthy person paid for somebody to put a bunch of love songs in. It's a beautiful thing. It's colorful, and the illuminations in it are gorgeous. So just sort of imagine that, you know, somebody was singing out of this book, and there's just filled with love songs. So it's quite beautiful. So I hope you enjoy this one.
Wow. Well, great. What a great way to start. And I should mention to folks viewing that what you saw was the live performance, of course, there in the gallery where these works of art are hung, and interspersed with images of the particular work of art that sort of inspired the selection of this piece. So maybe Cynthia, maybe you can talk a little bit about what connection you saw, I mean, aside from sort of place and time, what connections you saw between the Dufay work and that particular portrait.
I don't know if there's a
Or
particular
maybe there isn't
connection.
one. That's fine too.
There isn't one, except that it is the oldest piece in the collection, and I just, even getting to see this one close up last week when we were in there recording, I was just looking at this, just looking at drawings and sketching, just seeing like all the detail that you can get in a sketch, even just with pencil or charcoal, is just really incredible. And even as something as simple as we think of as just a little medieval song, there's just so much beauty and contour and all this stuff in it that
Yeah.
I just really love. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much in the sort of detailed line, of course, in the Dufay piece, and yeah, it makes perfect sense. A nice parallel, I think, with the artwork. So we're going to jump ahead a century or so, I guess. I should also mention here at the beginning that at the end, I'm hoping we can do a little Q&A with folks in the audience. So if anything occurs to you along the way, a question you want to ask, you don't have to wait to the end. You can go ahead and use that little Q&A button that's at the bottom right corner of your Zoom screen. And go ahead and just type questions or comments in there, and we'll get to them at the end. But feel free to ask at any point if something occurs to you, since we're going over a lot of works of art and a lot of pieces of music. So what have we got next on the agenda here?
Well, next, Cynthia has delightfully programmed an Orlando Gibbons Fantasia A3, meaning for three players, to accompany the Vasari allegory of eternity. And well, I'll just talk a little bit about Gibbons. He was the patriarch of a great musical family of England, basically the Bach family a century earlier, and in England. He was really the most famous one of all of them, though his children, of course, were somewhat famous for their time as well. This is one of 24 fantasias for three people that Gibbons composed, though he was mostly an organist and composer for the church. These fantasias were for home performance by amateur viol players. And as you've seen, there was a bass viol that I was playing there. We don't all play viols, all three of us. So what we're going to do today with this piece is a mixed consort. Usually you would have three viols, a treble, a tenor, and a bass, all in a family together. So when they call it a mixed consort, it means you've introduced those lowly violin family instruments, the violin, the viola, the cello, sometimes, as opposed to the high art instrument used for the court, being the viola da gamba, which you see me playing. Let's see, this work is just like most Renaissance pieces. It has certain thematic points, or like musical themes, and then they're always treated contrapuntally. This particular one, though none of them had bar lines to delineate the actual meter, this one starts out kind of dance-like in a meter. Then you'll hear some more contrapuntal points that are more flowing and overlapping as we go along. Of course, it always comes to a beautiful cadence at the end. And I think, I don't know, Cynthia, what you're thinking, but when I see the picture, the Vasari, I see someone looking up to heaven. And what I see in all of these particular thematic points is just, they're always ever rising and piling on top of, each one of us piles on top of the next person, always trying to attain something up there. Perhaps eternity. So why don't we hear this Gibbons Fantasia A3.
Again, just lovely. A beautiful piece that sort of I'm trying to think of the right word. Sort of an elegant, just a very elegant work, right? There's just everything just feels so very balanced and nicely put together. So great. I quite enjoyed that one too. And anything you all wanted to say about that one after having watched and listened, or want to move on to what's next?
Would you want to talk about the Rolla? It's fine.
Sure, let's move on to just talk about the next one. What have we got coming up?
I think we have Rolla next, which is a big viola moment for me, and I may have chosen this selfishly. Rolla is one of the first composers, I mean, not the very first. We've had other sort of virtuosic music come before, but really it's the end of the 19th century that we really start to see like method books written for viola, etude books written, and just like crazy virtuosic things, like violin type music being presented on the viola. And he's famous for writing just extraordinarily challenging and difficult technical pieces for violin and viola, or duos for two violas, two violins. And we've got, I think he wrote, I want to say, is it 6 or 8? I can't remember exactly, but we've got these string trios, and he really passes the material around. So it's not always just about the first violin with sort of accompaniment. And this is also the same time we start seeing string quartets where the parts are very conversational and very equal as well. And I have this paired with Head of a Woman. And you'll see, or I hope you see, it's sort of a portrait of a woman kind of looking around a wall or a door maybe, and she's got this look of sort of shock and awe on her face. And I hope you sort of hear in this piece that it's so beautiful, it's so touching, and just sort of that feeling of being feeling really touched by music, I think, is what sort of led me to this one. So I hope you enjoyed this one as well.
How lovely, and how what a nice pairing. I think actually that's probably my favorite one, where where how the piece works with the works so nicely with sorry, the artwork and the musical piece work so nicely together. I think they both have this sort of that nice humanist feel to them, or something, where they're trying to capture something about personality, or something something intrinsically human. That's really lovely to see. And I guess we'll keep on marching forward through time, unless there's something else you wanted to say about
Yeah, I
that.
just wanted to say, well, this leads into the next piece, but
Great.
as you're saying, this fit really well. It also fit really well because it was the first one where we're actually using the exactly appropriate instruments for the
Time
music
period,
too.
yes, right.
So you may have noticed that, with the viola da gamba there, that, hey, there's something strange about these people. Well, we play on historical instruments whenever possible, although we don't play medieval fiddles, so we didn't have the right instruments for the dufai.
Right.
But as we picked each piece, we tried as much as possible to use the correct bow and the correct instrument when we had one available too. So, and that's what we do with our lives. That's what we are,
Music life,
historical performers. So, yeah. So moving on to the next work, which is by Heinrich Herzogenberg. Herzogenberg is definitely not a household name, but he should be. He writes very beautiful music, and he was really a close friend of Johannes Brahms. And also, just like we are historical performers, he was deeply into early music himself. He was a researcher. He started the great Bach Society with Spitta, who was a Swiss scholar, and they are the ones who began the whole copying out and reprinting of Bach's works. So they were no longer in manuscript anymore.
Wow.
So really a great figure, but unknown. Except for some of his choral music, Herzogenberg. A lot of choir singers know about his music. And this accompanies the Seurat landscape, which is unlike most Seurat, as there's no character, and of course, it's a landscape. It's also not pointillist, right? I mean, it's a drawing, and it's I don't think it was pointillist. It looks like it's perhaps little tiny strokes, but so it's a little different in that way. And just as impressionist art doesn't necessarily line up with the music of the time. Here's an Austrian composer accompanying French art from just a little bit later, I would say, than the music. But they work perfectly together. You'll hear right at the beginning. There's this incredible timbre of sound, which is the violin and the cello playing way up high in the range, and the viola playing the bassetto part, and it's really, I mean, it's a landscape in music too. So I hope you enjoy this.
Was another lovely slow movement. So nice to just sort of end in that sort of nice deep breath kind of feeling. I think at the end of at the end of that one, just lovely. Obviously setting up for something probably very exciting happening in the next movement, I would imagine.
No doubt.
Yeah. So fantastic. This is great, and it really does have that just a lot of warmth and all these sort of little sneaky key changes and kind of little bits of slipperiness, kind of keeping you from ever feeling entirely comfortable during the piece, which is really nice, and kind of I think it fits with the I won't say darkness, but there's something a little bit foreboding about that Seurat landscape. I think maybe it's just because it's in black and white. I don't know, but it feels a little mysterious, I guess. And the music, I think, reflected that really nicely too. So another great pairing. And now we're moving on to our last piece. Is that right?
That's right. Our last piece is a serenade by Dachnyani, who is a Hungarian composer. And I wanted to say something about our choice of instruments for the last piece and the one following, which is to say we're now using modern instruments, not old style in any way, fully modern, like you might see in any symphony orchestra. And it makes a very big difference in the way we approach the music. It's much grander. And we use vibrato, which is something we use only sparingly in music before now. And it's it's a for us a huge treat to use these instruments because it feels like we're driving Cadillacs. Dachniani was a Hungarian composer. He lived from 1877 to 1960. He ended his life in Florida, of all places, teaching in Tallahassee. And his music is a little bit folk oriented in the way that we've come to think of Bartók and Kodály, but it has a more universal feel. It has it's very approachable. There's nothing you could say is really alien about his music. It's interesting and unlike any other that we know. His father was an outstanding amateur cellist. Interesting to know that. He was a friend of Bartók's. He promoted Bartók's music. They both went to the Budapest Academy as youngsters. He was a phenomenal pianist, apparently world-class pianist. And one of his concerts in London, he played Beethoven's Fourth Concerto, was considered one of the best performances ever. So he was really well known as a pianist as well as composer and conductor. Let's see. In addition to promoting the composers of his time and place, he was also a promoter of the lesser known works of Mozart and Beethoven and Schubert. And he was noted for a number of performances or groups of performances. In 1920, he performed all of the Beethoven sonatas. In 1941, he performed all of the Mozart concerti. So he was a champion of music and really remarkable. So the piece we're playing today, the Serenade, Opus 10, written in 1902, has 5 movements. They're all completely different from one another. The first is called the Allegro, which is more or less a march in C major with a contrasting grand second theme, which we only hear once here and then maybe a little bit later in the last movement, but we'll talk about that later. The second movement is a Romanza in also C major, incredibly beautiful movement. We just love that one. The third movement is the Scherzo, which is highly chromatic, extremely tricky to play, and awfully fun. It's sort of Mendelssohnian in its sprightliness. It's really, really just full of piss and vinegar, if you'll pardon me. We go on then to the theme and variations, which is incredibly beautiful theme. I think sometimes we think, oh, that's our favorite movement. Oh, until we come to the next one, and then that's our favorite movement. You know how it is. It's just so compelling. And the final movement is a rondo, which has a little bit of American feeling hoedown in the middle of it. It's kind of raucous and fun. And then that famous first movement theme comes back. You'll hear.
Cynthia, do you want to talk about how this fits with the Léger? No?
I think your mic's off, Cynthia.
Oh.
Sorry, turn it off.
Okay.
Maybe, I think we should listen to it maybe after, as we talk to the audience, we can talk about it. Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
Sounds great. What a, at the very least, say an emotional journey.
Yeah.
Hearing that whole piece from beginning to end, just stunning, and beautifully played. And um, we kind of left a little bit of a teaser. It seemed like before we started that Cynthia, maybe you would talk a little bit about what connection you saw between the piece and the Fernand Léger drawing.
Yeah, I not that I have anything super deep to say about it, but just the way Bill was talking about the Seurat and the landscape, and how we've in the previous piece that it was very much about the sort of sound world that we created and that, you know, was achieved in the composition. Definitely we have this in the slower movements by Dakhnani, but I think some of the faster movements, you definitely hear this like very tight like compositional control of exactly how these different parts sort of fit together. And it's something that I think does happen in Baroque music, but I think as Baroque players, we don't really encounter this kind of music quite as often, where this bigger picture is achieved by these like little pieces that fit together just right, and the bigger picture is like, you know, this machine that just works perfectly when it all lines up, you know, so well. And so I mean, in the painting, it was really cool. Some of the panning, you could see just like the tiny details of little parts of things, and when you know, zoom out, you know, the bigger picture. So yeah.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. Look, Bill and Katie, you look like you might want to chime in. just going by your faces, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I was totally in agreement.
Yeah, I mean, I also see that Dakhnani is just so perfectly worked out. I mean, like Bach would have done it, just fit all these incredible things together and have the themes come back later on in the piece. I mean, I know that's what good composers do, but it's not easy, and it's just incredible.
Yeah,
no kidding.
really good.
Yeah, it's quite a journey, and quite physically demanding for you as players too. I'd imagine. Yeah. So let's see. I'll put a call out to folks watching us right now. Again, if you have questions, to put in the Q&A box there in the lower right corner of your screen. We have a couple questions already, which we'll get to. But I wanted just to point out, in case people watching haven't caught on to this idea, that this is a true testament to your musicianship as the three of you, that you are able to play this music spanning so many centuries, and be able, and because this is not, most people specialize, if you're an orchestral player, you're used to playing, 2.5 or so centuries of music, probably at max, and for you, who all I know are early music specialists, but to be able to bring such vigor to the more these 19th and 20th century pieces, as well as this is not something that amateurs do. This is something that you are all able to do because you're truly fine musicians. I just want to just make a blanket statement to start with, because this is not an ordinary concert you would come across again. I think it's very, very true. So I have a couple questions in the Q&A already, and the first one I'll answer, because the question is, who amongst you is the filmmaker? And I can answer that. That is, once again, testament to the depth of talent we have at our museum. The whole film was put together by our video producer, who works for the museum, named Dave Taylor, who does so many things, and especially during the pandemic has been in great demand because we've been doing so much on video, and I thought just did a truly marvelous job. So thank you, Dave Taylor. I thank him in every time we do one of these, because his work is absolutely invaluable. He's sort of the invisible artist behind the scenes. So, and then we have another question that says, do you have to adapt the music that you play to work better with modern instruments? So again, kind of referring to what you had talked about, where you've got a mixed consort, as you said, where you had one bass viol and then the other two violin type instruments, and then playing the early music on quote unquote incorrect instruments, and what sort of adaptations do you make when you're playing?
Well, I should actually punt on this, because I was the only one playing the
That's true.
But you can explain it best.
I don't know. I mean, usually the music just, it really speaks on the correct instrument. So I guess, the only one that I kind of faked it on, of course, was the Herzogenburg. That cello would still have had no end pin, still would have had gut strings, and would have had it would have had a tort bow. So the bow was correct for that. And, I guess we all sort of said immediately when we touch the steel string, our finger starts doing this.
Yeah. It's automatic.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you guys should have more to say about this.
No, we don't. We don't play any earlier instruments than what we showed you today. So that's what we were left with. Alas.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I will say with the Dufay, I do play medieval instruments. I have done a lot of it, and so I will say for myself that I I know what that instrument sounds like. It's much more, I don't want to say in your face, but there's less nuance to it. A medieval viol is,
Right.
it's just a less fancy instrument, so the sound is a little bit buzzier. If you think of like medieval harps and medieval wind instruments, I mean, we've got some soft instruments, but also very buzzy instruments. And sorry, it's what I do when I speak in public. I get ahead of myself, but like going back to the harps, they have these thing called brays on them that you can turn on, and so the plucking sound sort of, it rattles against the instrument. So for myself, I was definitely trying to get closer to that sound world as I was playing that sort of lower line on my viola. It's an approximation, but I also think, and maybe this is sacrilegious for me to say, that all music is music, and whatever acts you have in your hand, you can express what you really want to express. I think we all want to do that, and do that as much as we can.
Back to what Sean was talking about, what we do with our careers, it's more historical performance than what did you say? I don't remember the word you used, but because we try to find the right instrument, the right guidelines from whatever period we're playing. And these days, I mean, it's really expanded from what it used to be, which was Renaissance and Baroque, and then eventually the medieval people came along, and that's fantastic. They do their thing. And then it just, we had to start hearing Mozart and Haydn and Beethoven, and eventually we've done Brahms with our orchestra here, and we almost did Tchaikovsky last year, but it got canceled. This week, one of the groups we play in is doing a brand new piece written a month ago. So
For Baroque works?
for Baroque instruments.
Right.
So we try to specialize in everything except we always have to cut one thing, so I don't do medieval music. I mean, I did it for you all tonight, but
Oh, fantastic. And again, I'll say, this is a very special kind of program. This is not the kind of thing in the Bay Area. We're very fortunate to have just a rich panoply of great early music performers, obviously, among them all, the three of you, and we are also happy to have so many great contemporary music performers and everything in between. But it's rare to see a program like this where we get truly a huge range of European music, for that is over so many centuries. So it's been truly just a wonder and a wonderful thing to have the three of you do this, and to come in and perform it for a camera in our galleries over the course of 2 days. And there was that's a lot of work for to put into something which is just being broadcast on the internet later. So I appreciate all the hard work that you all put into it. And I'm wondering if as we get closer to signing off, if one of you would like to give like a little preview of what we're going to hear in a live performance in September.
Right. Well, that would probably be me. I think it might only involve me in the next show, which is being presented by Agave Baroque, which is a fantastic group based mostly in Santa Rosa, but we're from all over. There's a keyboard player from Seattle, for instance, and a singer coming from Seattle. And that is going to be a program of mostly French music from, again, all periods, maybe not medieval probably, but probably from anywhere from Baroque up to modern day for that. And so again, you'll get to hear a real mix of work.
Yeah.
That's featuring Danielle Reuter-Hera, who's a soprano from Seattle, really amazing singer. She used to live here, so some of you might know her.
I do know her from here. Yeah.
So that's September 20th.
Yeah, it's September 20th. It's a Monday evening, and that'll be like I said, their first live performance that we've had in a year and a half. So I'm very excited to return to live performance. Mark your calendars, everyone who's watching. And then I don't know if you want to talk about October and November too, or if you'd rather just leave that. I mean, it's entirely up to you. That's
fine. Yeah. So in October, actually, Katie will be joining us again. We have our biggest group of the four. It's Cantata Collective, which is a local organization that we are both co-founders of, that presents Bach cantatas free to the public in Berkeley. And this will also be cantatas, of course, Bach cantatas. So it won't be such a diverse range of dates, but it'll be definitely from the early part of the 18th century, and it'll feature Christine Brandis, who's at the university at Cal, and also Nick Knackley, who teaches there, as well as a wonderful organist coming up from LA, Edward Murray, and Stephen Schultz on the flute. So I'll surprise you with the details later. The final show will be in November. Will be with a string quartet, the New Esterhazy Quartet, again a period instrument group. We've always specialized in Haydn, and we've branched out from there to Mozart, Beethoven, people you've never heard of.
Yeah, a lot of those.
And this program will actually feature the Haydn Emperor Quartet.
Oh, fantastic.
As well as a new composition by moi. So
oh, fantastic.
Yeah, to go along with the piece. So definitely so again, not a big range of time period, but
no, a few centuries apart between you and Haydn.
That's
so
true.
That's good.
I hope so. I've got some gray hair, but definitely.
That's wonderful. Great. So much to look forward to. And again, this is our, as we return to live performance at the museum, we're going back to our monthly performance, which happened on the night of the full moon. So if you can't remember the dates that we were spewing out or whatever, besides checking our website, you can also just look at the sky. If you see the moon is getting full, you know there's a concert coming up. And you can just show up at 7 o'clock at the museum and you'll be fine. Since there's no other questions that have been asked, I guess it just remains for me to thank everyone. And again, Bill, Katie, Cynthia, what a joy it was to have you in the museum and to have you here tonight doing this program live with us and answering questions and everything. It just was just a truly beautiful experience. The whole thing was great from top to bottom and great. And lovely to have something that responds so very deeply to the art that's hanging on the walls too. That's something that we don't get to do very often. So it's really special for us at the museum too. So thanks to all of you. Thanks to everyone who's watching. Thanks to our video producer, Dave Taylor, who's monitoring and producing this program, as well as having produced the video that you watched. And thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks to everyone else at the Berkeley Art Museum Pacific Film Archive. And with that, I'll just say good night. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.